Hi, today we're going to talk about Chapter 3, which is pre-reading and pre-writing techniques. So previewing texts and working with topics. So I want you to look at both of those and just think about what do they have in common. Go ahead and hit pause. So what I thought they had in common was that someone didn't plan, someone didn't think about it, right? Someone didn't take the time to front load the work because, how do you get to the benches? And holy heck, how are those packages going to be distributed? As a reader, we know we should use pre-reading strategies. So we're going to talk about reading for a little bit and then talk about writing. So the S and the Q in SQ3R are our pre-reading strategies, things that we do prior to jumping in and reading from page 1 to page 40. So the first strategy in pre-reading is previewing the text, right? Surveying it. So when we survey, we look at things like title and heading and words and graphics and the introduction and conclusion and how the author sets up that chapter or that article that he or she has written. So you want to look at all of those when you're previewing. That helps you figure out what the text's topic is. And that's the first step to really understanding the text to comprehension. If you know what the specific topic is, then you can work on main idea and figuring out all of the important details. But you have to understand what a topic is. A topic is a word or a short phrase. It is not a sentence. It is not a complete thought. Sometimes we call it the subject of the text. But basically, a topic answers who or what is the reading about. Is it about photosynthesis? Is it about Vin Diesel? Is it about thermonuclear dynamics or the theory of evolution? Those are words and phrases. They are not complete thoughts, and that's what a topic is. Sometimes you can identify topics with help from the clues the author gives, like titles or headings and subheadings. Sometimes the topic of a section is a bolded vocabulary word. It's shown through graphics a lot because those graphics are really expensive to get the rights to put in your book. So authors choose graphics carefully. If a word is repeated over and over again, or if it's said once and then pronouns like he or she, that might be the topic. They're definitely introduced in the introduction and concluding statements or paragraph. So all of those will help you identify the topic of the paragraph or the passage. And that's the first thing that you have to do. So something like iPad, HCC, tattoo, coffee, those are topics. They're very broad. These are not topics. Why do you think so? Well, they're not topics because they're complete thoughts, they're complete sentences, they have a specific position or idea. They are just too narrowed to be topics. Okay. So once you preview and you're trying to figure out the topic, that's where some predicting comes in. So here's where you predict what you think the text topic will be. What do you think the writer's going to say about the topic? And what do you think the writer's purpose is? Is it for information? Is it an argument? Is it entertainment? Because you might read all of those in your college journey. So we have previewed, we've predicted. Now we're going to tap into our prior knowledge. Your textbook calls it recalling. Basically, though, it is thinking about what you already know about a topic. because it allows your brain to activate sections that are relevant to what you're about to read. And therefore, if you pre-activate these sections of your brain, it makes it simple to add that information. Okay, I call it the fishbowl analogy. So there's a picture of a fishbowl, which is your brain. On all of the sides of this fishbowl are hooks, like fishing hooks. Some are really big because you know a lot about a topic. Some are really, really tiny because you're just learning about something, but you have millions of them on the outside of your fishbowl. And every time you read, you're putting incomplete pieces or nuggets of information in your brain. And you want that incomplete nugget of information to stick on a fish hook. You want it to become, you want it to retain it, basically. So if there's a hole in your bottom of your fishbowl, because that's where everything you once knew and you forgot, it all falls out that bottom. What do you have to do to make sure that incomplete nugget of information gets stuck on one of those fish bowls or those fish hooks? If you just drop it in the center, that information is going to go straight out the hole in the bottom. But as you're dropping it in, if you shake your fish bowl, that information is going to get caught. That nugget is going to get caught on a hook. And that's what you want. That's what tapping into your prior knowledge does. It shakes those fish hooks, gets them going so that when you do read those nuggets of information from the text, they will stick on the appropriate fish hooks. So that's what prior knowledge or recalling does. Once you do that and you think about what you already know, then we know the Q in SQ3R is asking questions. And it helps you set a purpose for your reading. It can be done for an entire reading. It can be done for a section of it under a heading. And as we will look at in annotations, we're going to turn our headings and subheadings into questions. And that gives us a purpose for reading. Why are we reading that section? Well, we asked a question and we have to answer it. If you're given a study guide, you want to correlate the questions to the sections of a text and use the guide to help you with those questions. Sometimes different authors set up questions at the beginning of the chapter, or sometimes they set it up at the beginning of sections. Use all of those. Turn statements into questions. Chunk the information, because then that will help you set a purpose for reading, and when you're reading actively, you'll be able to figure out what clicks and what clunks. Okay? So these are pre-reading strategies. They should be done before you jump into page 1 and read until you quit. So if you have 10 minutes, do those for 10 minutes. Because then you're going to have a pretty good understanding of the entire chapter or the entire article. Okay? The same thing should happen. You should go through this process before you write. Some of your writing topics will be given to you in college. Sometimes an assignment will have multiple prompts for you to pick from. And then others are going to require you to do all of the work by selecting your topic. It doesn't necessarily matter what the situation is, whether you're given 1 or 10 or none, you have to do legwork beforehand. You want to set yourself up for success. Okay? Because if you sit down and try to just type, your paper is going to be stream of consciousness. It's going to be disorganized and very hard to follow. And that's not what you want whenever you write. So if you want to either look at your assignment page or create an assignment page if you're not given one. Okay? So you want to look at the prompt that you're given for your writing and see if you can answer those questions on the right. If not, you want to ask your instructor, get clarification if it's not written in the assignment. If it is not, if you didn't get an assignment sheet at all, create your own and ask your instructor those questions as well, so that you know going into the assignment everything that you need to do to be successful. You want to also think about who your audience is. Is it your professor? Is it experts in your field of study? Is it going to be online, so it's internet viewers? Is it your classmates? Regardless, you have to use formal writing. So no contractions, no slang. Make sure your punctuation and grammar is on point, and use the third person, he, she, and it. Okay? So in college, you want to make sure that you are writing things formally. Then you want to read and reread the assignment. You want to mark and annotate, highlight all the important pieces of that assignment prompt. Okay? In my class, there are at least 3 students who fail each semester because they fail the final writing because they don't address the writing prompt. They're close, but it doesn't address it. So you want to make sure that you read and reread that assignment and highlight or circle or underline all the important parts of it. You don't want to be penalized because you didn't understand the prompt or you didn't address the whole prompt. Format that prompt of the assignment in a question, because just like we create questions when we read, if you have a question when you write, everything that you put in your draft has to address that question. It keeps you focused and it keeps you on track. So if your prompt is write an essay in which you examine the techniques of marketing utilized by one of the major shoe manufacturers, be sure to address how the company generates ethos and pathos through their advertisements. All right, well then turn that into a question. What are the techniques that Nike uses to market its products, especially ethos and pathos? Okay. If there's step 4, can't stress this enough. If you are unclear of any aspect of your assignment, ask your instructor. We also have Learning Center assistants to help with pre-writing and idea generating. So no excuse, you can't turn it in and when you get it back say, oh, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. Okay? Be an advocate for yourself, ask a question. Okay? So, but Ms. Holmes, what if I'm not given the topic? Well, you have to brainstorm, and you can do this a lot of different ways. Start with things that you're interested in that relate to the subject area. Free your imagination. Think about the world around you. What's going on now? Think about your life, your experiences. Like I said, go to the Learning Center, go to the library. There's internet sites that will help you generate ideas. Okay? Remember, this is all about idea generation. This is not actual articles. What all can you write about? And you want to list everything that you could possibly write about that ties into that class or that assignment. Okay? Sorry, let me go back. Okay? You want to make sure that whatever you select from that big brainstorm list is narrowed enough for an essay. So in part 2 of this lecture, this PowerPoint, I'm going to walk you through how to narrow a topic that is doable in one essay. Okay, I'll see you in part 2.